So here, what I'm going to be doing is cueing Kevin to give some basic actions. I like to start off with a basic thrust by opposition here. And so what I'm just going to do is I'm going to come up, I'm going to have my blade on his blade. He's going to extend. Now we start off with him just extending with a hand action, no feet, and I walk into it. I make some corrections. I like to see a little opposition closing the line, a relaxed shoulder just like that, and then make sure that he's got the action in. You can do this with basically every action, starting off first with just the hand. The instructor comes in. Now I pull distance. Kevin's going to extend and make it with a lunge. So more realistic action. And again, my cue here is a physical cue of my blade going down his blade, simulating again an attack and hit in opposition. Now I'm going to move him around, and he is going to make the attack on my blade cue. Once you get the basis working in, you can make this much more tactical in a sense of making sure the student attacks at the right time. So giving the cue when it'd be logical. For example, when the coach steps forward, the coach pauses. Again, the times when you'd like to attack. Here is a little unorthodox. I'm having him do the same action in fourth with his hand supinated. You don't see this in all Sabre sources, but you see it in Smallsword, Rapier. So the same, I like to train it in Sabre. It's a useful action here. And again, I'm just letting him do the action, making some small corrections. Then once he has it down from his lunge, we'll move around and again make it a much more realistic action. And just showing opposition to the side here so you can get a better look of what that looks like from a coach's perspective. So we're going to start here with the next simple attack in Sabre, the direct cut. So what we are going to do here is I'm going to put Kevin on guard, and my cue is I'm going to have my blade under his blade. I'm going to make a little drop, not a big drop, a realistic invitation, and he pushes forward with a direct push cut to the head. I make sure that he closes a line and provides opposition. That's what I'm checking here. Making sure that the shoulder is relaxed, extending and hitting. And then once he's got this with the extension down, we're going to again pull distance, get him to do it with a lunge, making sure that he extends well, hits the target with the Sabre before his foot hits the ground. Again, making sure it's got good attack timing. And then again, every now and then checking opposition. When I check opposition, I'm just doing a light attack to the inside or opposite line. I'm not giving it a lot of oomph because I don't want him to get too tight and tense, just to make sure opposition, it's not really a parry that I'm drawing here sometimes. And again, just moving around and making sure that the attack is realistic. So now we are going to do another simple attack, which is a direct thrust. So in this case, all I'm going to do, similar to the direct cut, I'm going to have my blade under, open the line, and then Kevin will extend and hit with a thrust. So again, it's not going against the blade like the thrust in opposition. It's just a direct thrust in response to an invitation or an opening. And again, mechanics here are similar to the thrust by opposition, but no blade contact. And now we're going to move on to one of the last simple attacks, moving on to indirect attacks here. So this will include the attack by disengagement or cavazione, disengaging under the blade with the point, and also attack by cut over or coupe, going over the coach's blade or opponent's blade and cutting. So here all we're going to do is I'm going to get up and make an engagement, and instead of going down the blade to cue the attack by opposition, I push against. Student responds, disengages with the fingers, goes around my blade, hits the point. A couple things to look for: make sure that the disengagement is small with the fingers corkscrewing through, and again the point hitting before the foot hits the ground. The lunge, again, subtle little adjustment of distance there, make the distance a little bit better. Again, now picking up the speed, making the action a bit more realistic. Little adjustments. So now we are cueing the cut over. So again, same cue, pushing, the student goes over the top and cuts to the head. This could be any other target. Head is easy to start with. It's easy target to hit. I'm making actually a slight coaching mistake here in terms of which direction I'm pushing and which direction I want Kevin to give opposition. I'll correct that later in the lesson. Always know when you're coaching, you will make mistakes. Just try to fix them and always let the student know when it's your problem and they didn't mess up, but you did. And again, I'm just making sure he's get the extension out. So now what we're going to move on to here is an action in time. So the action's the same, but instead of counting from engagement, I'm making a take or an engagement blade seizure. Kevin's going around and hitting. I added a little complication here, making Kevin do a double disengagement just to keep him awake, making sure the action doesn't get robotic. Now we've moved back to a single disengagement. It's good to interleave some variety sometimes in lessons just to get your student focused. Here again, adjusting distance, making sure that my blade cue is clear and he's going around. Again, a couple little changes there. Now we do the same thing with the coupe, and again, as a action in time, as the blade is going, moving around and hitting. So again, this would be actually a counterattack type action. But I like to do these during the lesson, even though it's more advanced, just to get the student a more realistic presentation of when they might use this coupe. And again, going around and then cutting. And then now, once we're doing the foot progression, and getting the student to lunge. And this is the moment when I realized I was giving the wrong cue. And then I decide to fix this in action 2. So now I take the other way, which then gets me the opposition that I was looking for here on the inside. So again, when you're doing opposition, you always want to have the student end with their guard and blade in the direction or line where the coach's or opponent's blade is. So here, then cueing this attack in time.